When Ben and Melissa Caldwell bought their dream home in 2018, they thought it was finally the escape they needed from the stress of city life. The farmhouse sat on 4 acres of land in rural Wisconsin, nestled between patches of pine and untouched fields. It was the kind of place you imagine settling down in. Big porch, creaky wood floors, antique fixtures. Melissa was pregnant with their first child, and Ben, a remote software developer, was excited to raise a family away from the chaos of Milwaukee. The real estate listing had described the house as historically charming, with original design elements and minor need for renovation. And yes, it had its quirks: uneven floorboards, a few flickering lights, and a back hallway that seemed to always stay cold no matter the season. But that didn't bother them. At first, it even added to the rustic vibe they were after. But then small things started happening. Harmless things. Or at least, that's what they told themselves. Ben would notice snacks missing from the pantry that he swore he hadn't eaten. Melissa began finding drawers open in the nursery room, which was strange since she always closed them before leaving. The dog, a rescue German shepherd named Toby, would sometimes growl at seemingly nothing, especially near the old attic stairs that led to a narrow crawl space. Melissa chalked it up to the dog still adjusting to the new environment. But one night, Ben woke up to the sound of footsteps. He sat up, thinking maybe Melissa had gone downstairs, but she was asleep beside him. He listened carefully. The creaking was soft, too light for a man, but too slow and heavy to be mistaken for animals. It moved from the attic to the back hallway. Then it stopped. When he went to check, there was nothing, just silence. The dog, strangely, was hiding under the bed. The sounds came back again the next week. But this time, Melissa heard them too. Late at night, when the house was still, there'd be quiet, deliberate footsteps above them. And once, she swore, she heard someone whispering in the vents. Ben searched the attic with a flashlight, finding only dust, insulation, and a few broken crates. Nothing to suggest a person had been there. They changed the locks, put in motion sensor lights, even added a basic indoor security camera, but it never caught anything. No person, no animal, just the eerie creaks of an old house refusing to stay quiet. Still, they tried to ignore it. After all, old homes have character, and they were tired. Melissa was nearing her due date, and Ben's work was getting more demanding. They didn't have the energy for ghost stories. But then came the worst part. Not the noises, not the flickering lights, not the drawers, but what they found behind the nursery wall. It happened on a Tuesday morning in March. Melissa had gone to visit her sister, and Ben stayed home to paint the nursery. While shifting the crib away from the wall, he noticed a soft draft. Odd, because the walls were supposed to be insulated. Curious, he tapped along the drywall and discovered a section that sounded ... hollow. He pushed. Nothing. He knocked again, and a small panel popped inward with a creak. Behind it was a narrow, dusty gap, a hidden space no wider than a person. He grabbed his phone and used the flashlight. At first, all he saw was dust. Then he noticed the items. A worn, dirty sleeping bag, crumpled food wrappers, empty water bottles, a flashlight with dead batteries, and worst of all, photos. Dozens of printed photos. All of them of him and Melissa, taken through cracks in the walls, through vents, from angles inside the house. One showed Melissa asleep on the couch. Another showed Ben brushing his teeth. Some showed them in bed. And the worst one? Melissa in the shower, from above. The realization hit him like a punch to the chest. Someone had been living inside. Their walls, watching them, for months. Maybe longer. Ben stumbled out of the crawl space and immediately called the sheriff. When the deputies arrived, they searched the hidden space thoroughly. But whoever had been there, if they were still there at all, was gone. No sign of forced entry anywhere in the house. No fingerprints. The doors had been locked. Windows shut. It was as if the house had been slowly harboring this presence, quietly and deliberately, just beyond the reach of normal sight. The official report said it was likely a squatter, someone who had found a way into the house before the Caldwells bought it, and who had lived there undetected. Maybe they came and went through the attic, maybe through a forgotten basement window, but no one could explain how they managed to stay hidden for so long, or why they took the photos. Worse still, Ben and Melissa didn't recognize the person in any of the blurry, partial shots caught on one of the found disposable cameras. A woman, short, thin, hair cut unevenly. Her face was never shown directly. Just glimpses of her reflection in doorknobs, her hand on a banister. Melissa believed she'd heard a woman crying once, weeks before, but had convinced herself it was a dream. A neighbor swore they saw a woman walking the property line late at night, but thought it was Melissa Dot. No arrests were ever made. Caldwells moved out within a month. The nursery was never finished. The house, now vacant, was relisted in 2020. The listing didn't mention the hidden space, or the woman who lived in the walls. But locals say the house never felt empty, even after the family left. People passing by at night claim they sometimes see a pale face watching from the attic window, a window that, according to floor plans, shouldn't exist anymore. Renovations have since removed the crawl space, or so they say. No one knows who the woman was, whether she was a previous tenant who refused to leave, someone with mental illness, or something darker entirely. But one thing is certain: she was real. She watched them. She lived among them. And she might have never left.